previous one. I still really like this, it's lovely and bold, the colours. Which one do I prefer? I prefer the new one. So you would have seen me do bits of the background. Now this did take me a long time, that's why I didn't do the whole thing as a time lapse. It would have been very repetitive, the same thing, me just filling in the white space around. Now I did cover up some of the random fish and then the dragonflies that were just popped around randomly. Now the reason that I did that is I wanted to keep as much as that background as possible. Now my idea with this page, let me show you first, I've already previously done this double page spread and I like to redo the pages that I've already done to see how much I've improved over the time. Now unfortunately I didn't date this, but I think I'll be able to look back on my Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it is the same name on here, Colour Me Stress Free. I'm nearly at 2,000 followers, which is really exciting. Now this is the previous one that I did. Now I'm not going to remember absolutely everything that I did on this page, but I'm pretty confident that that is a watercolour background. Yeah, because it's not bled through. I've not treated the paper with anything. The paper in these books specifically take watercolour really well, but as you can see I went with the pinks and the blues. Now with this one I want to make it completely different, sort of. Now I want to make all the lily pads a really deep rich green colour. Another way I'm going to achieve that is with layers. I'm going to use watercolour again to base the whole of this illustration. I'm just checking, I think I actually did that with this as well, and even some of like this whale, I'm pointing and you can't see, but this whale here I've not added any details. I've just used gel pen for like the fish and the dragonflies, so I don't want to go down that same route. I do want it to be different. I've used stickles. I do like the effect of the stickles, so I'm thinking like with the waves and stuff I'm actually going to use acrylic paint once all the colouring portion is done, and then maybe go over the top with some pencil. So I want all the lily pads to be quite dark. I'm going to attempt to do the tips of the flowers like a really rich royal blue, and then have it blended into like a baby blue or even white if I can achieve it. So it's nothing like the original that I did. I did blue whales, which I might do grey just to keep it. It'll be 3 colours then that I'm using. It'll be turquoise, blue and black. That'll be my main colour palette with this one. So I think what I'll do is I'll film the process of me putting the first layer of paint on and just talk you through how I do that, and then I'll talk you through how I do the second layer, just a little portion, and then I'll show you bits and bobs of time lapse. I don't really want this to be like a 3-hour long video. It might even be longer than it takes me. It took me nearly 2 hours to do the background. But the reason that I've done the black in the background, because I'm thinking with my Prismacolors, and I've missed a bit there, so I'm going to have to fill that in. There's a little bit there that I've missed. I'm going to have to fill that in first. I'm thinking to like do some sort of glow effect, whether it be around the whales or coming from underneath the lilies. I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. But yeah, that's annoying because I thought I did all the black work and I've put everything away. So yeah, I'll get that done, let that dry, and then come back for the base. So that's all done. I ended up finding other bits that I needed to touch up as well. So I'm using today my Paul Rubin watercolour paints. Now I have already pre-wet these, the colours that I think I'm going to use. I'll probably have to, so you can see the colours that I'm using, have it like this for now and see how I get on. And make sure my cloth is handy. I've got a spare palette here just in case I need it. Do I want the big brush or the smaller brush? I think I'm going to go with the big brush actually, because this layer doesn't have to be perfect, so I just want to get rid of the white of the paper. But in saying that, yeah, I was thinking if I wanted to go into the white, I can't cover that completely, but I'll do a different technique when I'm doing the flowers, I think. Actually, I need, that's a size 12 and that is a size 2. I need a nice in between size. We've got a nice in between, yep, number 6. So I'll use a number 6 just to be safe. So I'll pre-wet that, let's take off the excess water. I'm just wondering what's at the end of it. Winsor & Newton ink, and I hope that's not destroyed it. It's dried into the brush. So let me just try and clean that out. Luckily that's come off. I'd be nervous then because I do like these brushes. So for these I want the turquoise colours like I mentioned, so I'll start off. I'll use this actually. This is just an old resin. I nearly stuck my finger in the black there. An old resin palette that I made a while ago. So put some of this colour in here. Maybe mix some of this one in as well. And then I really want to water this down. Ideally, I'd like to mix enough. Was that the right blue then? Or turquoise? I want to mix enough so I can do both sides of the page, ideally. I'm sure I'll be able to mix the colour again if not. So adding some, like a pine green colour in there, just to deepen it up a bit. Some more water. Take off the excess. And let's see what this is like. Yeah, we'll do this one first. Yeah, so perfect. I don't want it too dark. Just want to get rid of the white of the paper. Now with watercolour, you want to work fast, otherwise once it starts drying you'll get lines everywhere. So you do have to work a little bit faster, especially on warm days like it is today. It's 17 degrees and it's 8:30 in the morning. It's only going to get hotter. So I want to get this part of the picture done first. So yeah, I don't have to be too careful because I've already done the background. When that dries you won't be able to see that I've gone over into the background. I want to go over the stems as well. Why not? I can always deepen them up later. See, the problem is with me doing the background as well, like I've gone over a little bit of that fish and that's fine. It doesn't look like a fish anymore, it just looks, well I don't know what it looks like now. So I might have to try and turn that into something else. So I'm just filling all these areas. Because I am working with watercolour, I'm going to do all the lily pads first, so I'm not switching between shades. I think that's the best idea. I'm even going to do the stems of these flowers as well with the little whales inside. Doesn't have to be perfect, it is only your first layer, but like I said, just try and be as quick as you can without it being too messy. I need to decide a colour on the frog as well, and do we want him standing out or do we want him blending in? I think I want him blending in, so if that's the case it's getting all coloured the same. I don't really want that sticking out and your eyes going to that frog. So it's drying up already, this paint. Add some more water. We need to do this stem. Whoops, too much. You see how it's already started drying? You can see the difference there. So where else can we work on this side? I think we're doing that black background as well. It's just like a cheats way, I think, of getting it filled in. If you're not sure what to do, I always go with the black background and then I'll worry later about other details, because the good thing about this, the Americana black acrylic paint, is you can use pencil over the top and it shows up beautifully. You can go over the top of it with more acrylic paint and it'll show up really nicely. Just get all this filled in as quick as I can. I'm going to go over the dragonfly as well. So yeah, I am being very, very rough with it. Might as well do that side while I'm there. I want to be careful around them petals if I am trying to make them a light colour. And I have pre-wet the black as well to create a grey for the whales. I think that's what I'm going to do. So same thing with this little guy at the bottom. He's going to be the same colour. Don't want him standing out. And then all I'm going to do is the exact same thing to this side, so it will be the exact same process, and then I'll come back for the next colour. I think the next part should probably be the whales, to just get them out the way. So I've cleaned the palette, I'm going to dip into the black. It's not overly pigmented, that black, which is probably ideal, to be honest, because I'm trying to make a grey. Thin, a bit more water. As you can see as well, the paper really does tolerate the watercolour. I couldn't think of the word then. I'm literally playing with it on the palette and I couldn't think of the word. So let's see, yeah, perfect. So just a layer of this all over. Now, I don't know whether I should just do this whole thing in watercolour and then add a tiny bit of pencil detail, and it would be quicker, or just do this base layer of watercolour and go ahead and just use pencil. But like I just said, I think that will take so much longer, and I do like painting. But as the day is going to progress, I'm not going to be able to, because I've found that when it gets really warm, you cannot use watercolour. Not in the right way, or the way that I like to use it, should I say. So anymore, there's a couple of the baby ones. Oh, and I've spilled a big dollop of the green there. Whoops. That'll be able to be covered up. Don't worry about that. And I think we'll tackle the flowers next. So even just adding that one colour to them lilies, I think it's coming on. I think with a black background, it really does just make anything pop. And this one is a really adorable one at the bottom. So let's get this big one. Make sure the brush is fully loaded. Again, not worried about the waves or anything because I'm going to go over the top with acrylic paint later on. I should have said at the start of the video as well, if you hear any background noise, that's the geese. We have daily geese flying over the house twice a day, but the window's open. I've got the window open and the fan running. They're really cute, some of these. Try and keep it as well as simple and as quick and easy as possible. I don't think I wouldn't enjoy sitting there for hours and hours and hours colouring the same page, and I say it all the time, and hats off to the people that do. I just have not got the patience for that. I like to see progress. If I don't see progress, I tend to lose interest a little bit. Now for the petals, let me just clean my palette off again. I said blue, didn't I? So let's start mixing the blue. I'm going to switch as well to 2 smaller brushes. Yeah, 2 smaller brushes. So what sort of blue? Whoa, that needs water. They do dry really quickly, these paints. I have noticed that in the palette. I want to mix a couple of different blues together here to get the perfect colour what I'm after. I like that one. And I like that one as well. So that's 4 different blues mixed together. So do a really watered down version and then a separate bit on the palette for a more pigmented colour, maybe even a tad darker, just like that. Clean my brush off. Now I will have to, I think it'd be better if I zoom in and then you can actually see. We'll do this one, that might be the best to do. So the reason that I want to use 2 brushes this time and I've got 2 separate paints, I want to keep one brush relatively clean. So there's my paint, I've got my cloth, and I want to do the wet on wet technique with the petals. So make sure my brush is loaded. I'm just going to tap off the excess. I might have to keep reloading. Now normally if I wasn't filming I wouldn't have anything else on here and I'd be able to lift up the page to see where I've wet it, and I'll have to do petal by petal because it's so warm. So make sure this is clean and go in with the more watered down shade. It's probably too much. Start off at the top. Yeah, it's drying already. Yeah, let's see if I can blend this out now just with water. Well, it's not too bad. So I'm leaving the very base the lightest. And then while that's still wet, just dip into the darker blue. Add it at the very top. Now, this isn't just popping a colour down. This is a couple more steps to that. But it'll look more finished in the end. Just like that. So same thing again. It's just rinse and repeat. So you've done all the petals on the page.
Say my name. I'm in the say my name. I'm in the say my name. I'm in the say my name.
Now that's completely dry now. I think that's really effective. Now I'll do the rest of these off camera as well because it's just the same thing, but I'll show you how I'm going to do these types of flowers. Now you would have seen I switched and used 3 different brushes. So one for clean water, one for the darker blue, and then one for the lighter blue. Now it is here. Is it still wet? No. Let's activate that. All the blue should still be okay. So I want to do the opposite actually. I want to make it darker at the bottom. Oops, I forgot to zoom in. Come on camera. There we go. There we go. So I want to do the very bottom, the darkest. So I'm going to wet the top of the flower. Just like that. And then go to my medium brush, pick up this shade of blue, it's like a medium blue. Add this all over. And pull it up. I want to leave the very tip, the lightest. I'm messing it up. And before that has a chance to dry, go on again with clean water. And then the darkest blue, activate this. I think I'll do it up to there. Put this down now. Probably a little bit there as well. And then use the clean brush again, just to blend that in. I think it gives quite a neat effect, so I'll just do that. So that is the base layer done, and I think it's quite effective. Now I did mess up, I don't know if you can notice, but I did all this side and then I started this side, and instead of putting the darker pieces at the top, I started at the bottom, so I just had to go with it. So I've done the opposite on each page. See, it's darker here and darker at the top, darker at the bottom. And I couldn't mix the exact colour as well, but it's just a base layer, so it'll be fine. I'm switching over watercolours now. I'm using the Prima, what are they called, these ones? The Currents set, and I thought this would be ideal to start doing some of the detailing. I just noticed I've missed a petal there, but yeah, I want to do a little bit more detailing with watercolour and then go ahead with the pencil work. I think what I'll do is do a good portion of this as a time lapse, and then show you a little bit of the pencil work, and then come back properly at the end to do the acrylic. To do that, the splash effect, and I'll have to do some like water splatters as well. You see, I'm gonna have to cover some of these areas up. They look like floating leaves almost, some of them, but it was just part of the waves that was covering that up. So we'll just have to work with what we've got, but so far I like it with the rest of the flowers. this is my progress so far. There's not a colour pencil in sight yet. This is just all watercolour. You would have seen bits and bats of me doing certain areas, but I'm quite pleased with how it's looking. There's just a couple of areas that I do think I want to do in pencil, even though it'll take me a little bit longer. I think I want to do it in pencil, and I can take my time with it as well. So I've chosen to use the Artex, yep, the Artex colour pencils. I found the selection of the blues and the turquoise specifically in this set really, really nice. And I'm running low on my, excuse me, I'm running low on my Prismacolors, some of these colours, so these will do just as good for what I want to use them for. So where do I want to start off? I want to deepen some of the shadows up in the whales. Basically it's just everything that I've already done, just tweaking certain areas. And like for instance, I've not coloured, I think that's meant to be a book or a bag, so I need to do that. The frog as well, the fireflies, I want to keep it all similar colours so they're not popping out from the page. And then I can do the fun bit, which will be the acrylic paint towards the end, and I might add a little bit of liquid chrome by Renaissance watercolour, possibly. I'll see how I feel once the acrylic paint is down. So yeah, let's get started. At last the pencil work is done. I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. I pulled out a couple of different things. Now my white acrylic paint, which I don't actually know if there's any left, so I'm hoping that there is. Doesn't feel like it. Acrylic paint pen for any finer details. I'll have to do that right at the end though. The liquid chrome watercolour paint that I did mention that I might use, I am going to use it. So actually, I'll get that activated now. Luckily I've got a backup of this because I've used half of it already. So I'll leave that there so we can activate it. Actually, that turquoise shade might be nice to use as well, so activate that and just put that to one side. Like I said, I'm hoping that there's enough left in here. Now, because I want to do a splatter effect, just pulled out an old towel that I currently use for all my plants, and I want to protect my surface as much as possible. Just move everything out of the way. Let's pop this down. I'm hoping that's more or less all of it. There's a tiny little bit. Oh, it's alright. It's alright. Get all these back. So this paint is the Deco Art Americana white acrylic paint. Now, please tell me there's some of this left. Let's see. Because this is my most favourite and I haven't got any more. I can hear something. Oh. I'm hoping that'll be enough because I do need to mix a little bit of water as well in certain areas, but I'll add a tiny little bit to start off with just to make it easier. Do 2 drops of water. I'm using a fine brush, but I'm really fully loading this so it's turning into quite a thick brush now, and all I want to do, I've just had that Kevin and Perry song in my head, I won't sing it, is go over some of this liner. No, I think it might be better me bringing you in slightly. Yeah, I've got that song in my head now, so I'm not going to worry too much because it is meant to be waves, meant to be a little bit messy, and because I have added that water it's a little bit translucent, which I don't mind because you'll still be able to see some of the colour underneath what I've already put down. And ideally I want to cover them fish up because I've not coloured them any specific way. I'm just popping the paint on and then flicking it upwards. And like I said, I'll be able to use the acrylic paint pen for more of the finer details once this is dry. Now, I haven't used the heat gun with this whatsoever and the paper has been brilliant. I've not had any issues at all. I think I want to bring this a little bit further out. That's the beauty about putting that black background down. I knew that this white would show up really nice. So, what I'm going to do now with this paint, I've got this tool. Now this is meant to be for watercolour. It's a wonder brush and it helps like blending watercolour out when you're using watercolour paper. Now I'm not using it for that. I'm going to add a little bit more water to my paint. Get the brush wet and load it up. Hello Roland. Load it up. And then just do flicking motions on the page. And the further you come back, the more of a splatter effect it gives, and it's really easy. So I do want to go over that with another layer, but while I'm doing the splatter effect I might as well do that and then let it dry and then come back to it's a good job I did use a towel because I've just got it all over the iPad to go over this one more time. So the closer you are, the more dots and splatters you get. The further away you are, you get few. Just like that. I have a tendency of adding too much, so I'm trying to be mindful here. Might as well do this side. So you don't want to do it from this direction because you want it coming from the wave, so you want it coming outwards. Just like that. Tiny bit more water. And then I'm quite far back here, just letting it go in random places. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the watercolour. Make sure I clean this brush off because, like I said, it's not meant to be for acrylic. That should be okay. And then pick up my makeshift palette and get this side done. Hoping that there's going to be enough paint here. As soon as I've finished doing this and editing this video, I'm going to have to get one of them ordered. Unless someone can tell me of an even better white, but I do like this one. Now I was going to do a glow effect. Around the whales, but I knew that I wanted to do a lot of white splatters, so I want it to be about that. I don't want the eye drawn to anything else. I want it to just be about the water. So I think that's the cool bit about this illustration. Why would whales be coming out of these lilies? And I like that I've not done traditional colours as well. Before I end the video, I will pull out my previous version of this page just to show you again. Just going over the same area again. This paint does dry pretty quick, and because I've added water as well, you'll have more bits that are more translucent and then bits that are more covered up. And I'm really not worrying about them fish. The bubbles and stuff around the little baby whales I'm going to add with the paint pen. I've just realised I've got it all over my wall. Oh no. So with this paint, I think I'll just use the same brush again. Yeah, I'm going to use the same brush again. So we'll go in with the liquid chrome. Wow, every single time I use this paint, I think the same thing. I'm not being paid to say this. I bought this with my own money and I'll continue buying backups and using them with my own money. I just love them so much. Same thing, but I'm really being random with this. I'm going to come further up. Let's move my light. So I've got really tiny. It's like it's raining. And then with the turquoise, I'll try and be a little bit more directed to the middle. So it's fully loaded. And then because I don't want to waste the paint, I'll lift it up and do some finer ones. Now, I'm going to have to be patient and let this dry, and then I can do the very last step, which will be the acrylic paint pen. So I bet you were shouting at the screen then because I missed that one. I missed that one completely. So I've gone over that with the, luckily there was a tiny bit of paint left over. So this one, I actually typed in, I ordered, start from the beginning, acrylic paint pens, and the brand was Rosanes. S-O-O-N-I-S, Rosanes. And then when I used them up, I ordered them again, the same exact ones, and it was these ones that came up. There's no actual brand name. I'll link them in the description for you, but they're the best ones that I've found. They come in a pack of, I think it's 8 or 10, and you get 6 white and 2 black, or 6 white, 1 black and 1 gold, I think. Yeah, there's the black as well. That's not as matte as I would like it to be. It's not as matte as this paint, like I say, but it's still good. Oh, there's a bit there as well, Debbie. Luckily, I've left this out. How annoying. And the bin memory. Am I going to be able to use any of this? Oh, there's a tiny bit there. I'm going to have to be patient and let this dry, and then I can do the very last step, which will be the acrylic paint pen. So I bet you were shouting at the screen then because I missed that one. I missed that one completely. And then with the turquoise, I'll try and be a little bit more directed to the middle. So Isn't that annoying? So I'll quickly go over that. I'm going to have to do most of it with the paint pen, I think. Quickly get that acrylic off that nice brush. I don't want to do too much with this pen. Just a couple of bits, like there's some, they're meant to be like air bubbles where the whales are. I'll just add a couple of dots as well. We'll add a dot in the frog's eye. Some more here. So this is just easier than using the acrylic paint. You can be a little bit more precise. There's none up there. Everything's going everywhere. I'm excited to finish this page and start another one, to be honest, because this has took more than a week for me to complete. So I was going to add a little bit of gel pen as well, but I don't think I want to. I think there's enough sparkliness on the page now. With all that watercolour. And then this little guy down here. I think I might have to pause the video because they're being really loud outside. So that is the page complete. I do hope that you like it. I really like how it's turned out. I've got to show you in the light how much that paint does actually pick up. It's really effective, especially on that black background. And I'll just show you my previous one. I still really like this. It's lovely and bold, the colours. Which one do I prefer? I prefer the new one. I prefer the new one as much as I do like the colours of this, and I use stickles. Yeah, I just love doing pages that I've already done because you can see your progress over time. But like I said, I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.